Hi, Dr. Cerency. This is my Module 2 culture video. And just like Mrs. Shaw did in class the other day, I'm going to break this down into 3 areas or my 3 cultures, just like she did. So the first one I have is at home growing up, the sort of culture that came with that. I'm a straight white female, so with those things, there seems to be sort of a privilege associated kind of with all of them. We could argue the female part of that, but that's not what this video is about. Um, so yeah, growing up, we were in lower class, the social class. We were in lower class. For a time, we were on welfare and getting some government help and things like that. But I grew up in Pittsburgh, but when we moved to Florida, I lived in a black neighborhood. So I had exposure to a lot of different things, and I had black friends, and still do. I still have black friends, but yeah. So it was definitely apparent my privilege compared to theirs, even though we were all in the same social class and we lived in the same area, and in some cases I was in the same grade as people. There were definitely some different things that I could tell were given to me that were not given to them, or just in conversations with other people in school, or some people, further down the block in the neighborhood, I would be treated differently than they would. So that's like a little, just obviously that's like a peephole into my growing up and culture associated with that. Before I came to USF, I went to school at the University of Louisiana at Monroe. Bible Belt, strong South. And so when I was there, I pledged Alpha Omicron Pi sorority. Whoop, whoop. So the privilege associated with being able to attend university, just in a really like broad sense, is that in other countries, women can't go to school or are not allowed, let alone a university. So that is definitely a privilege. And then related to my time in the South, there was definitely a dialectical difference, and I know this is something with your Southern roots and heritage, you can kind of relate to that, as far as like the code switching and all that. Anytime I, go back to Louisiana and with my sorority sisters, there's like 100 plus of us. There's like 50 alone in my pledge class, which is just crazy. But anyways, when you get us all into a room, the code switching happens on my part. My Southern dialect comes out a lot more. Yeah, that's something crazy. And moving on. Oh, so this is my now culture. This is my adult life, grown up, married woman culture, which, that brings me to, I'm married. So this is a picture of my husband and I. We were kind of younger back then, as when we were teenagers. We've been dating since I was 16. But that is a picture of us, and as you can tell from this picture, I'm white and my husband's black. And so even though prejudice, discrimination, and racism we've talked about, or we've like touched on them in class, and I know that all 3 of those things have different definitions. Since being with my husband for the 7 years that we've been together, I feel he and I have both experienced an example of each of those things. An example that I'll share, and I don't think that the location doesn't have something to do with it. I think the location of this event has everything to do with it. When we were living in Louisiana, we had just moved there for we had lived there for 2 weeks, and we were at a gas station, and he was out pumping gas, and I went into the store to buy an item, and when I came out, I handed him his drink or whatever I had just bought, and I went in for the kiss, and I'm standing there talking to him. We're holding hands while he's pumping gas, and it was interesting. A black woman and her friend, who was also black, were walking into the store, but they were like looking over their shoulder at us, and their faces were definitely not friendly. And like all of a sudden, one of the women shouts like, "Sell out, you're a fucking sellout," to my husband and I. And obviously it was pretty clear to us that they were talking to my husband, selling out and dating a white woman. And vice versa. Actually, you know, there have been public places there. We've been at a restaurant where we're eating, and this is also in Louisiana, and a gentleman and his family moved tables because they didn't want to sit near my husband and I. And yeah, so those are some examples that I feel like pertain to the things that we learn and talk about in this class. Those are my kind of 3 different cultures, just lightly touching on all of them. And thank you very much.